cut down an old tree, but what came out shocked everyone. Clara loved her little farmhouse. She spent her days tending the garden, while her husband fixed things around the yard. But one afternoon, something strange caught Clara's eye. One of the tallest trees near the fence looked sick. Dark, sticky liquid was dripping down its trunk. The smell was so foul it made her step back. Fearing it might spread, she grabbed her old axe and gave it a hard swing. At once, the trunk burst open and thick brown water sprayed across the grass. The liquid gushed out so fast, the whole yard turned into a swamp. Determined to find the cause, Clara dug deep into the soil beneath the tree. What she uncovered underground stunned everyone who saw it. Clara stood at the edge of her property, staring at the men in white suits as they worked. The sound of generators hummed across the quiet farmland, mixed with the occasional hiss of machines as scientists collected samples of the brown liquid. Police tape cut across her yard, a sharp yellow line between the world she had known and the chaos that had taken over. Her grandchildren's swing set stood just beyond the tape, swaying gently in the evening breeze, abandoned like the rest of the yard. Clara never thought her life would become the center of something so strange, yet here she was, helpless as strangers, dug deeper into her land. By nightfall, the news had spread beyond the village. Reporters from the city crowded along the roadside, their cameras flashing against the dark. Clara and her husband, Daniel, were told to stay at a temporary shelter, but Clara refused. She wanted to know what was happening. She wanted answers. When the lead scientist, a tall woman with sharp eyes and a clipped voice, finally approached her, Clara braced herself. "We've confirmed the tank is old," the woman said. "Very old. At least 50 years, maybe more. But it doesn't match any design we know. The symbols aren't in any database. We can't trace the origin yet." Clara's heart sank. 50 years. That meant the tank had been there long before she bought the farmhouse. Whoever buried it had done so deliberately, hiding it under a tree that no one would question. The next morning, Clara woke to the sound of helicopters. Military trucks rolled into the village, replacing the police cars. Soldiers marched into her yard, their boots pressing into the mud left by the spilled liquid. They set up barricades and pushed the reporters further back. Clara clutched Daniel's arm as the realization hit her. This wasn't just an environmental problem anymore. The government was taking control. Soon after, an officer came to their door and handed Clara an official notice. She and her husband were being relocated immediately. Their home was now considered unsafe, and they would not be allowed back until the area was declared secure. Clara's knees went weak. The farmhouse had been her whole life, and now it was being taken from her in the name of safety. In the shelter, whispers spread quickly. Some people claimed the tank was part of a forgotten military experiment from the Cold War. Others insisted it was a toxic waste dump that someone had tried to hide. But one rumor stood out from the rest, a rumor that the tank was not human at all. Clara tried to push the thought aside, but the image of the strange symbols burned in her mind. They were unlike anything she had ever seen. Late at night, when she closed her eyes, she could still see the glowing flashlight beam illuminating those markings, ancient and unreadable, as if they had been waiting to be uncovered. Days passed, and the situation grew worse. The brown liquid continued to rise from the cracked tank, seeping through the soil, reaching new areas of the village. Pets fell sick. Birds avoided the skies above the farmhouse. Even the trees around the site began to wither, their leaves turning black at the edges. Clara demanded to know why the government hadn't sealed it off yet, but the scientists insisted it was too dangerous to move quickly. They had to understand what they were dealing with before taking action. To Clara, it sounded like an excuse. Every day she watched her village slip further into ruin, and no one seemed able to stop it. Then, one evening, a young scientist approached her quietly. He was pale, nervous, his eyes darting around as if he didn't want anyone to notice. "Mrs. Harris," he said, using her surname, "you should know something. The liquid, it's not just toxic. It reacts to energy. When we shone high-powered lights on it, the symbols on the tank began to glow. For a moment, the readings spiked off the charts. Whatever this is, it was designed to stay hidden. We might have woken it up. Clara froze. Her breath caught in her chest. Woken it up? Those words rattled around in her head all night. She didn't tell Daniel, she couldn't bring herself to, but she knew the truth now. This wasn't just a hazard, it was something far worse. The next day, alarms blared across the shelter. Soldiers rushed past the evacuees, shouting orders. Clara grabbed Daniel's hand and demanded to know what was happening, but no one answered her. Then she saw it on the news broadcast playing on the television in the corner. The tank had ruptured further. A geyser of brown liquid had burst through the earth, shooting several meters into the air before raining down across the site. The entire farmhouse was buried under sludge. The scientists had evacuated just in time, but the liquid was spreading faster than ever. It wasn't just a leak anymore. It was an outbreak. Roads into the village were closed. Armed guards stood at every corner. People whispered that the government might never allow them to return, that the entire area would be abandoned. Clara sat in the shelter, her head in her hands, thinking of her garden, her grandchildren's laughter, the smell of fresh bread in her kitchen. All of it now gone, smothered by that cursed liquid. She wanted to scream, to demand answers. But deep down, she feared she already knew the truth. The tank had been buried for a reason. Whoever put it there wanted it forgotten. And now that it was found, no one would ever be safe again. Late one night, unable to sleep, Clara wandered outside the shelter. The stars hung low over the horizon, and the village glowed faintly in the distance under floodlights. She thought she was alone until she noticed the same young scientist standing a few feet away, smoking nervously. She approached him, her voice shaking. "Tell me the truth," she said. "What is it?" He looked at her, his face pale in the moonlight. "It's not from here," he whispered. "At least that's what some of us believe. The symbols match nothing in human history. The liquid has properties we can't explain. And when we lowered sound equipment into the tank, we heard something moving." Clara's heart pounded. Something moving? She stepped back, but the scientist grabbed her arm. "I shouldn't be telling you this. They'll silence me if they find out. But you deserve to know. You were the one who cut down that tree. You uncovered this, and now it's not going away." His words haunted her long after he left. She lay awake until dawn, the thought of something alive beneath her land gnawing at her mind. What if the liquid was not a byproduct at all? What if it was part of something bigger, something that had been buried alive? Within days, the military sealed the tank completely, covering it with reinforced steel plates. They said it was under control, but Clara could still see the unease in the soldiers' eyes, the tension in their movements. One afternoon, she overheard two of them talking. "They're not telling the full story," one said. "This isn't over." The other just nodded grimly. Clara shivered. She knew then that her farmhouse was lost forever. The land she had loved had been hiding a secret too dangerous to keep, and now it belonged to forces far beyond her control. Weeks turned into months. The villagers were resettled in nearby towns, but nothing was the same. Children coughed at night, their lungs weakened by the brief exposure. Farmers spoke of crops dying mysteriously. Birds still avoided the skies near the old village. And Clara? She became a ghost of herself. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the tree splitting open, the liquid pouring out, the lid to that dark tunnel sliding away. She wondered if she had done the right thing. If she had left the tree standing, would the tank have stayed hidden? Or would it have found another way out eventually? Clara will never know the full truth. The government took the site, locked it down, and erased it from maps. But she knows one thing for certain: the land remembers. The earth holds secrets that humans were never meant to disturb, and once they are unearthed, nothing can bury them again.